Yoga is a vast collection of spiritual techniques and practices aimed at integrating mind, body, and spirit to achieve a state of enlightenment or oneness with the universe. What is normally thought of as yoga in the West is really Hatha Yoga, one of the many paths of yoga. The different paths of yoga emphasize different approaches and techniques, but ultimately lead to the same goal of unification and enlightenment. Hatha Yoga attains the union of mind, body, and spirit through a practice of asanas, or yoga postures, pranayama, or yoga breathing, mudra, or body gestures, shatkarma, internal cleansing, and savasana, or rest. These physical practices are used to purify the body and cultivate prana, life force energy. Modern Hatha Yoga does not emphasize many of these esoteric practices and instead focuses more on the physical yoga postures. Regardless of what your goals or intentions are for starting, just the yoga poses themselves are a fantastic form of mental and physical exercise. Some yoga accessories to help you with your practice include a mat, blocks, blankets, and straps. A yoga mat is roughly 2 by 6 feet and is designed to give you grip and stability while practicing. Another purpose of a yoga mat is to provide cushion for your joints. It does this by being dense so that you don't feel the hard floor underneath you. Hard surfaces can beat up your knees and be unforgiving on your joints, which is why you want a good mat. Yoga blocks allow for proper alignment so you can do the work of the posture while preventing yourself from picking up bad habits in your form that are difficult to undo. Some yoga practices use blankets for support. Blankets can be used in the following ways: to sit on for meditation or for seated forward folds, as cushion for limbs, for restorative yoga, or to cover yourself in savasana, the final rest pose in yoga. Straps serve as an extension of your arms, providing support and helping to deepen stretches and improve flexibility. Flexibility is an important component of physical health. Yoga offers many styles to choose from, varying in intensity from mild to high. Even the lowest intensity styles have been found to increase flexibility. Yoga seems to be especially helpful for improving flexibility in adults ages 65 and older. Reduced flexibility is a natural part of aging, and a 2019 study found that yoga both slowed down loss and improved flexibility in older adults. The American Psychological Association recently shared that 84% of American adults are feeling the impact of prolonged stress. The science supports that yoga, and especially asanas or postures, is excellent at reducing stress. But remember, the physical practice is just one aspect of yoga. Meditation, breathwork, and auditory rituals like chanting and sound baths, which are meditative experiences where participants are bathed in sound waves, have also been shown to significantly reduce tension and relieve stress. Major depressive disorder, or MDD, is thought to be one of the most common mental health disorders in the world. A 2017 meta-analysis of 23 interventions looking at the effects of yoga-based treatments on depressive symptoms overwhelmingly concluded that yoga can now be considered as an effective alternative treatment. Both movement-based yoga therapies and breath-based practices have been shown to significantly improve depressive symptoms. Often, the precursor to illness is chronic inflammation. Heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, Crohn's disease, and many other conditions are linked to prolonged inflammation. One review examined 15 research studies and found a common result: yoga, of various styles, intensities, and durations, reduced the biochemical markers of inflammation across several chronic conditions. While most people associate yoga with stretching and flexibility, some types of yoga classes can also build strength. It just depends on the class level, approach, and teacher. This makes yoga asanas a multimodal form of exercise. Yoga's effectiveness at building strength has been studied in several specific contexts. For instance, as it pertains to people with breast cancer, older adults, and children. Another study conducted on Air Force personnel found yoga to be an effective strength-building practice across many age groups of healthy participants. The Anxiety and Depression Association of America recently stated that anxiety disorders may be the most common mental health disorders in the United States. There are several different anxiety disorders, such as generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety, and specific phobias. Even chronic stress can sometimes be categorized as an anxiety disorder. Numerous studies suggest that yoga asanas or postures may be effective as an alternative treatment for anxiety disorders, though more research is needed. Yoga Nidra, which is a body scan or guided meditation, has also been shown to conclusively reduce symptoms of anxiety. The World Health Organization defines quality of life as an individual's perception of their position in life in the context of the cultural and value systems in which they live and in relation to their goals, expectations, standards, and concerns. Some factors that affect quality of life are relationships, creativity, learning opportunities, health, and material comforts. For decades, researchers have viewed quality of life as an important predictor of people's longevity and patients' likelihood of improvement when treated for a chronic illness or injury. A 2019 meta-analysis shows promising potential for yoga to improve quality of life in people with chronic pain. Chronic stress negatively affects your immune system. When your immunity is compromised, you're more susceptible to illness. Yoga is considered a scientifically backed alternative treatment for stress. The research is still evolving, but some studies have found a distinct link between practicing yoga, especially consistently over the long term, and better immune system functioning. This is due in part to yoga's ability to fight inflammation and in part to the enhancement of cell-mediated immunity. Balance is essential for simple everyday movements, such as picking something up off the floor, reaching up to a shelf, and descending stairs. Yoga has been shown to improve balance and overall performance in athletes. Likewise, a review of the research conducted on healthy populations suggests balance may improve for most people after consistently practicing yoga. Still, falling can have serious effects for certain populations. According to the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, falls are incredibly common among older adults in nursing facilities, and even the simplest ones can lead to an increased risk of death. Neuro research suggests yoga can improve balance in older populations. However, more studies with large sample sizes are needed before a general conclusion can be drawn. Yoga asanas can also be helpful at improving balance in people with brain injuries. Adaptive yoga or chair yoga can be especially helpful for older adults or people with injuries who are less mobile or for whom balance is a concern. Pranayama, often referred to as yogic breathing, is an important and beneficial aspect of yoga. The Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine published a review of 1,400 studies looking at the overall effects of pranayama. One key takeaway was that yogic breathing can improve the functioning of several systems in the body. Specifically, the research summarized in the review found that the cardiovascular system benefited mightily from controlling the pace of breathing, as evidenced by favorable changes in heart rate, stroke capacity, arterial pressure, and the contractility of the heart. This research indicates that yogic breathing may influence the brain's cardiorespiratory center to improve functioning. When measuring sleep, researchers look at a person's ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. Insomnia can affect one or both aspects. Yoga has been shown to improve both, how quickly people fall asleep and how deeply they stay asleep. This is partly due to the after effects of exercise and the mental calming and stress relief provided by yoga specifically. In addition to improving anxiety, or perhaps because of it, numerous studies show Yoga Nidra, body scan or guided meditation, to be particularly helpful at improving sleep. Body image and self-esteem can be particularly challenging for some people. The good news is that several recent studies show positive results when using yoga for improving self-esteem and perceived body image. There has also been promising evidence that yoga can help with the accompanying symptoms of obsession, anxiety, and depression in those with anorexia. Many postures in yoga are isometric contractions, meaning the length of the muscles holding the pose doesn't change though they are fully engaged. For example, in plank pose, which is an upper push-up position, the arms, trunk, and legs are all engaged without shortening or lengthening, as they would if you were moving through a push-up. In Warrior 2, you hold the position with the leg bent at both the hip and knee. Isometric exercises, especially when performed with the joints in flexion, have been found to increase bone density. Yoga asanas may also reverse the bone loss associated with osteopenia and osteoporosis. One study found that just 12 minutes of yoga per day can significantly improve bone health. That said, it's important to note that findings relating to yoga's impact on bone density have been mixed so far. As a modern society reliant on technology, we seem to be spending more and more time sitting or hunched over devices. But one recent review of 34 research studies found an emerging pattern. Yoga improved brain functioning in the centers responsible for interoception, which recognizes the sensations within your body and posture. Additionally, yoga's focus on mobility and flexibility can contribute to better alignment by releasing muscles that are often tight, such as hamstrings, and improving mobility of the spine. Doing yoga poses during breaks in your workouts can also promote better posture. Research indicates that yoga is a mind-body exercise. One review found that practicing yoga engaged areas of the brain responsible for motivation, executive functioning, attention, and neuroplasticity. It seems like burnout, which is excessive exhaustion that affects one's health, may be at an all-time high. A recent study looked at burnout among hospice workers during the COVID-19 pandemic and concluded that yoga-based meditation interventions help significantly reduce the effect of burnout by improving interoceptive awareness. This is the ability to notice internal signals and respond appropriately, meaning that yoga may help people become more in tune with and even more likely to listen to their body's signals. Getting started with a yoga practice may be hard for some people, especially if they have time limits. Chair yoga may be the answer because it modifies traditional yoga poses so they can be done while seated in a chair. These modifications make yoga accessible to people who want a quick break from office work, as well as those that cannot stand or lack the mobility to move easily from standing to seated to supine positions. It can be practiced by anyone who wants to enjoy the benefits of yoga and may or may not have mobility limitations. This video will take you through a chair yoga routine with the poses listed on the screen. Seated mountain pose. Begin by sitting on a chair. Keep your back straight and long, your shoulders relaxed, your feet and knees hip-width apart, and breathing relaxed. Take a few deep breaths here and root yourself on the chair. Inhale and bring your arms overhead, making them parallel to each other. Sit tall with your back straight and remain here for about 4 to 6 breaths, fixing your gaze at any point in front of you. To release, exhale and lower the arms down and relax. The next pose is called Seated Forward Bend. From seated mountain pose, with your arms down, extend the spine and relax, taking a few breaths. Inhale, extend the torso upwards, and while exhaling, slowly take the arms down and place them close to your feet. The entire torso rests on the thighs, bringing the chin to be placed just close to the knees and gaze down at your feet. Slowly breathe deep while pushing the torso closer to the thighs and stretching the shoulders to place the entire palms on the floor if possible. Remain here for a few breaths. With every exhalation, move the chest and shoulders away from the thighs and stretch the abdomen to go deeper. To release, inhale, look up first, then raise the arms upwards and sit up. Relax and repeat. Seated cat and cow. Sit towards the middle of a sturdy chair with your feet on the ground. Place your hands on your thighs. Inhale and arch the back, opening the chest and lifting the chin slightly. Exhale and round the back, drawing the chin toward the chest and the abdomen inward. Repeat slowly. Seated pigeon. Sit toward the edge of a chair. Inhale and raise the right leg and place your ankle comfortably over the left thigh. Sit straight if possible and take a couple of breaths while you spread your toes and flex your foot. Lean forward from the hips slightly and lower your right knee to increase the stretch. Release and switch to the other leg. If bringing the ankle over and placing it on the opposite thigh is too difficult, then lift the right leg and try and hold it in your arms for a few seconds, or hold your ankle against the opposite leg as high as possible. Then slowly release. Seated eagle. Cross the elbows, taking the right over the left. Cross the right leg over the left as well. Then interlock the arms and feet. Stay in this position for a few breaths. To increase the stretch, raise your arms slightly at the elbow. Release and repeat on the other side, so the left leg over the right and the left elbow over the right. Seated side bend. Inhale and raise the right arm upwards, taking it towards the left side as far as you can comfortably go, while slowly tilting the chest and the neck towards the left. Remain here for a few seconds while continuing to breathe. Now inhale and extend the right arm and bring it back down to the chair, and exhale completely, relaxing the neck and shoulders. Repeat on the opposite side. Make sure the body is well balanced and doesn't go too much towards the side and lose its balance. Seated spinal twist. Sit on a chair sideways with the legs coming off one side of the chair. Keep your back straight and long. Your feet and knees roughly hip width apart with your breathing relaxed. Inhale and lengthen your spine. Root yourself on the chair while extending your spine towards the ceiling. Keep your shoulders rolled back, relaxed, and your navel slightly pulled in. Exhale and twist towards the chair, placing the closest hand on the back of the chair and the opposite hand to the outside of the opposite thigh or to the chair. With the next exhalation, go deeper into the twist. Continue to keep your shoulders away from your ears. Hold the position for a few breaths. Inhale and release your hands and come back to the center to the starting position. Exhale and repeat the process on the opposite side. Modified downward facing dogs. Stand upright in mountain pose with your arms at your sides, facing the seat of a chair. Bring your hands to the back of the chair and walk your feet backwards. Once you're in a nice and long position, take a breath in and then exhale slowly. Press the chair away from you. Move your hips back. If you want to deepen the pose, move your hands to the seat of the chair. Then move your hips up towards the ceiling and lower the chest towards the ground. Try to slow the movement. Lengthen the spine. You want to move back until your ears align with the upper arms. It stretches the sides of your body, arms and armpits while stretching the back of your legs. Wrist stretch. Your wrists can become strained from the repetitive motions required to use a keyboard or phone. Wrist flexion and extension exercises can help combat the strain from this type of work. From a standing position, turn your hands so that the insides of your wrists face away from your body and your fingers point towards you. Lean away from your desk with your arms straight while flattening the palms as much as possible. Back off if you feel pain. Seated Warrior 1. Sit near the front of a sturdy chair. Turn your body to the right and move closer to the left edge of the chair to create a support for your right thigh. Extend your left leg back and straighten it as much as possible. If it's comfortable, tuck your back toes under in a lunge position. If not, keep your foot flat on the ground. Lift your arms up overhead if comfortable, or place your hands on your hips or on the seat of the chair for support. Seated Warrior 2. From Seated Warrior 1 pose, lower your arms out into a T, allowing your hips and torso to turn away from the chair. Keep your right foot on the floor and your hips on the chair. You can remain seated and passively open your hips, or to work more actively, you can hover over the chair, engaging your inner thighs, buttocks, and outer hips. Seated Reverse Warrior. Start in the Seated Warrior 2 pose. Reach your forward arm up toward the ceiling while letting the back arm lower towards your leg, resting on the left calf. Feel a stretch in the front of the right side and hold for a few breaths before releasing back to the Seated Warrior 2 pose. Seated Triangle. From the Seated Warrior 2 pose, face the palms of your hands and body away from the chair. Slowly lower the hand above the bent knee towards the ground while the other hand raises overhead. Look toward the hand that is overhead and take a couple of breaths. Then release back to Warrior 2 pose. Once you are finished with the 4 warrior poses, switch and do on the other side. Seated Corpse. At the end of your practice, sit upright and relax your arms by your sides or in your lap. Close your eyes, focus on your breath, and take 5 slow, deep breaths to slow your heart rate and absorb the effects of your chair yoga practice.